happening, guys? So I am doing a two for today, 2-for-1 VR response video. As you can see in the title, it is a response to Dave Plays Retro Games Badly and James Retro and Import Gamer, and they asked respectively earliest gaming memory and also favourite box art for games. I'm kind of paraphrasing that. I apologise, James. I've tried to film this video actually about like 5 times or something like that, and when I've done it I've like trailed off and done all sorts of shit. Now if you watch any of my videos you know that I do it all in a one. I do edit bits and pieces in and things like that, but generally the whole thing of me talking is just a oneer. So I'll be talking about the box art first, my favourite box art, and then moving on to the second part of the video, which will be the earliest gaming memory. So with the box art video, I actually went through every single one of my collections that I have. So Master System, Mega Drive, SNES, GameCube, all of it. Went through every single collection and picked out one game. Not necessarily my favourite game on each system, but the lines did get kind of blurred. So, you know, do I like it because the box art's really simple, or do I like the game and therefore naturally like the box art? Now, generally speaking, yes, but at the same time, there are better box arts. Like, for example, Altered Beast box art is good. I like the Altered Beast box art, like the font of the actual title of the game as well. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, it's great, probably about 10-15 years ago. And then I played the game and thought it was absolute fucking dog shit. So that's one exception. That's like a reverse, that is. I mean, I don't actually have that game. Hello, can I help you? Although I think I've got it on is it on the Classics collection? It is on the Classics collection. I've got that game on the Classics collection, but I've not got any compilations. We've got the guest of honour here, by the way. Obviously, predictably, we've got Lucy in the video. So what I've done is I've dwindled it down. I've not picked out one from each system like I intended to, because I ended up with like 16-17 games in front of me. And even then it was like, I wasn't picking out every system. I was like, oh, it's just getting too much. So I put some back. I thought, yeah, you know, I'm happy with what I've got. So we will hopefully. I mean, are you gonna let me? Is this the time for the fusses? Is it? I don't. Is it? She's been laying with me for like the last 2 hours while I watch a film, and now it's the fusses time apparently. Got separation anxiety or something, mate? Come on. Right, so we'll start off with an oldie. So Master System, Rainbow Islands. I like it because it's very punchy in your face. I noticed even when I was young is that with the box arts, like for the older games, like for example like Bank Panic and stuff like that, it's just like a really simple picture, like Pro Wrestling, the Ninja, stuff like that. Really simple picture, and I always liked the ones like this where it was the main part of the box, and not including like the top bit and the bottom bit, you know, the Master System logo, etc. But you're gonna have to get down, because I've got a feeling you're gonna do this for the whole video. Is that I love his big bulbous head. God. And just generally that it's jam-packed. It has actually got everything in that screen that you need to know. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of detail packed in, to be fair. And obviously it shows you all the worlds and things that you go to, like the style of the levels. And I've just always really liked it. Bubble Bobble, and it says the story of Bubble Bobble. The story of Bubble Bobble 2. But it's Rainbow Islands. I mean, it's 2 completely separate games, but probably the same universe or something, I don't know. So we've got that. For the PS1, I picked Resident Evil 2. Now, again, this doesn't necessarily represent all of my favourite games, but I always felt that when I saw Resident Evil 2's cover, I love the fact that it was actually quite blown up. It seemed very close, like a bit too close for comfort. And I don't get scared by games or films or anything like that, but there is a definite like slight uneasy factor with certain films or certain media, and this was one of them for me. And I love this game, but I like the front cover even more. I like the fact that I don't think it's computer generated. I'm not entirely sure. It seemed like a photo that had only ever so slightly been like photoshopped before Photoshop was a thing. So we've got PS1, Resident Evil 2. For the Sega Saturn, I did look at the PAL releases that I've got, but they were quite basic. So I've got more Japanese stuff, but at the same time, I didn't just want to go for the typical like Japanese anime, manga sort of style, like girls and animals sort of thing. I do like those covers, but with this one, I like this one because it was different to the other Fantasy Zones released, but it was still quite punchy. But although it's a cartoon, it still showed depth. There's shadow there, and it wasn't ultra bright and it wasn't ultra dark. It was almost like a dusk type thing. I quite like that. Is that going to stay up though? CD case, shit cases though. The Super Nintendo. What are you doing? What are you two doing? I've got both dogs in it now. Oi, Ellie. No. Oh my god, this bloody drones on this Castlevania 4 music. So we've got Spider-Man and X-Men, Arcade's Revenge. So the game's alright, to be fair, but I remember seeing the box art when I was younger and thinking, that looks really, really cool, like I need to buy that game because it looks exactly like the comics. And that was obviously always a selling point when you were a kid, like, oh wow, it really stands out. Right, Ellie, you're going to have to get down, mate. I've just been through this with Lucy. What do you want? What? I'm talking, that's all I'm doing. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just talking. Come on, get down. Get down. I know. Thank you. Puppy dog eyes. So, I mainly like this one because obviously you've got loads of characters in there, but the fact, I love how Spider-Man's drawn. I can't remember the artist who's drawn him on this, but it's almost like he's leaping off the box. It's very deliberate. I like this one a lot. And oh yes, oh my god, piss off, stop it. And that it's landscape. So Mega Drive's obviously very portrait. It's very landscape. Quite like that. Leads me on to the Mega Drive. Splatterhouse 2. So always like this one again because it's quite in the same sort of vein as Resident Evil, but obviously not the same. Not that it's unnerving or unsettling, but it's just, it kind of meant business. Like in the days of like Sonic 2 and the nicey games that you had on the Mega Drive, you also then had the slightly dark side. Obviously that was the whole thing, like come to Mega Drive and you've got the harder, grittier games like Mortal Kombat with blood and fatalities and, you know, things like that. And then with Super Nintendo it was all meant to be nicey. So with this cover, I just love, again, like the moody colours, like the pinks and the greens and the blues and the moody background. It's great. And for the last few, I actually got a Game Boy game. Now, I was undecided about this one because I thought, I haven't got it boxed, I haven't got any Game Boy games boxed. Now I put this one in because I did have this boxed as a kid, and I do remember looking at the box and thinking I really like the fact that on the Super Mario Land 2, it would help if I say what the game is because it's like this small to you right now. I'll put a picture here so you can see it a bit clearer. Is the fact that everything was circular and it was like it's in its own world, and it very much reminds me, now that I'm older as well, of the Super Mario Galaxy game, how you could actually physically land on an actual planet and go around the planet, and I love that in Super Mario Galaxy. I'm seeing this again years later after I played that game. I was like, oh yeah, it really reminds me of that, and that's probably why I quite liked it as well, the aesthetics of both. Although in the actual game itself, you don't do that, but we're not talking about the game, we're talking about the box art. Darkstalkers, what's it called? I was going to say the Death Tower, the Chaos Tower, and I really like this one because I really like the game, but at the same time I like how portrait it is, very vertical. And I have got 2 other Darkstalkers games on the Japanese Saturn, and I do like the covers as well, but I felt like this one is quite subtle, but when you get closer you can see all of the characters very clearly, but it's not as in your face, like it doesn't portray one more than the other necessarily. And I feel like a lot of the other covers do that. They'll put one character in the forefront of the cover, and I think that's fine, that's good, but I liked how this one was a little bit more subtle. It gave a bit more quality to each character. I've got a feeling this. You are hardcore trying it, aren't you, mate? I know. Nearly done. PS3. We've got the this steelbook version of the Batman Arkham City game. It is Arkham City, yeah, Arkham City. So I like this one because you could technically say that, you know, when you open it out, it's not clearly a one cover game. Kind of cheating, kind of not. But if I'm not cheating and I'm saying about this front cover with Batman, it's quite moody, and I mean, I quite like it when they do that, you know, with the special editions and things like that. The covers would be the same, just like with Blu-rays, DVDs, videos, all that sort of stuff back in the day when they'd released the widescreen version. I always felt that the widescreen version of a video was always cooler in terms of the front cover compared to the normal version. If any of you guys remember what they were like, I mean, I always wanted the widescreen versions more, even though I didn't have a widescreen TV at the time. But this was a sort of similar thing for me. So the black and the white, and it was a bit more subtle, very moody, very dark, gritty Batman. Like, oh wow, you know, we're finally at the point now we've got decent Batman games, and the first 2 games are fucking amazing. And then it kind of went ever so slightly skew with from the 3rd one onwards. But again, we're not talking about that. So, Arkham City. Is it going to stand? It's going to stand. And then the last, but absolutely not least, I did pick out a DS game, but I put it back. For those of you who want to know, it was actually Princess Peach. But I won't go into it because I've not got it. It's all the way over there, and I can't be asked to go and get it. So we've got, I can actually see it reflecting on my room, Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS2. Obviously I love this game as well. I actually have this, I'm pretty sure it's in frame, the standee, the original standee. But this game right here, the cover evokes a lot of memories for me, which I try to separate myself from, but at the same time, when I played the game, I played the first one and didn't really like it. I didn't like how nicey, very simplistic the game was, and this one was a lot darker. Now the front cover doesn't necessarily kind of evoke those dark emotions or anything like that. It doesn't necessarily set a dark atmosphere. It obviously shows it's a little bit more serious because of Sora's face, his expression. But I do like how the top 3 characters, so Goofy, Mickey and Donald, kind of suited and booted, ready to go, especially Mickey. And then they do have the 2 characters at the sides that are a bit more subtle in the background, and it's all front cover. So that's it for those. That's my favourite front covers. Like I say, I tried to limit it. I tried to make it a bit more fair, a bit more different. Not just my favourite games, because these aren't all my favourite games or anything like that on the systems that they're on. But I do really like the covers. Now, the next one is my earliest gaming memory, or memories, whichever one you want to say. Now, at the time, I was around about 3 to possibly 4 years old, and we had a Commodore 64. We had the tape deck, we had the floppy disk drive. Yes, how can I help you? And we had all the setup. it was great. And we had a friend that knew even the most basic of information about IT and copying discs and stuff like that. So we had a few tapes, we had a few games on tape, but then we also had many floppy disks. So I have amazing memories of playing Chucky Egg. I had this exact tape, absolutely loved the game, and it was something that I felt, why did we feel that they took so long to load? It was unreal. Like, I think they only take something like 3, maybe 4 minutes, if that. And just the colours and like the weird static that you would get, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm gonna go, let's go and have dinner, let's go and play a game of football or whatever you're gonna do, and then come back and then find that the screen's loaded, and you're like, oh my god, he's here. And we always had to do it for Chucky Egg, New Zealand Story, and 1 or 2 others that we had, because we had the tapes, but we also had floppy disks for some of them as well. With Chucky Egg, I think it was like level 9 or something like that, where one of the eggs would appear in the scoreboard and you could not physically get it, because obviously when you went up too high you died. So that was a glitch on the floppy disk, you couldn't get it. I think they wrote that deliberately in one of the first like hacker defenses sort of thing. And I also loved this game, Vixen, and I remember seeing this advertised. I didn't have this box, I had it on floppy disk, and I always wanted the game box because but also I just loved boxes in general. I just loved box art as a kid. Always disliked the Super Nintendo ones, whereas obviously now I'm a bit more like, yeah, I love that, like, you know, the cardboard thing. But as a kid, I was like, I loved having things on my shelf to show all the games that I had. And with this, I remember that it came with a poster, and this, sadly, unfortunately, on eBay, advertises the same thing. Doesn't come with a poster. Sorry, didn't come with a poster when I got it. Very sad about that. So I do have a few more tapes and things up there, but these are the main ones that I absolutely loved. I also had the Terminator 2 cartridge that you put in the back of the Commodore. I even did that keyboard, and it just how responsive this was. I actually have the Terminator 2 one as well, but nothing for me has ever beaten this. I played it at an arcade recently, and it was only the keyboard playing Chucky Egg, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it playing it on the original hardware, but nothing will ever beat playing it with this. And I think that at the time, although that had a Master System as well, and then very closely followed by the Mega Drive, is that even then, like, I was like, oh, we've got this and we've got that, we've got this. Up until the age of around about 10 or 11 years old, I was playing on all 3 consoles. Then my sister had the Super Nintendo. So I was spoiled for choice, but I will always have very fond memories of this. And I won't ever buy one again. I would have the games on emulator, but I would never buy one again. But seeing that brown and cream keyboard a few weeks ago was fantastic. But I just don't have the room. I don't have the inclination to buy one. You know, I'll leave that in the past, so to speak. But yeah, very nice, very fond memories. If you want to play a drinking game, just watch this back and just count how many times, drink a shot of how many times I say fond, you know. But yeah, so that's what we've got, that's what it is, and it's both of those. So thanks for watching.